Hi, so welcome to the Get More Students webinar. I'm one of your co-hosts, Alex Asher. I'm the CEO of LearnCube, and we're also one of the co-founders of Get More Students, the community, the podcast, which I started with Herbert, who is also on the panel here, Herbert Gerzer from herbertgerzer.com. And we also have Corinne Algie, who is our content marketing, social media, everything to do with marketing, to be honest. She's your gal.
And thank you.
And I'll tell you very soon about our special guest, of course, which is Martin Kravchenko. I think I've got that right.
Yeah, pretty good.
So he's going to be talking about automation, which I know we had a really great response on. I know a lot of people are really fascinated by this. And I'll definitely put my hand up for that topic. What we are going to be doing today is myself, Herbert, and Corinne are going to start off with a bit of a teaser in terms of each of us will have a very short presentation. I'm going to help you out with knowing what's happening in EdTech. Herbert, what's your topic for today? Or do you want to keep it?
How to write catchy headlines for emails.
Oh, for emails.
For emails, subject lines for
Excellent.
emails.
So we've had a previous one on ads. So this is going to be interesting. Corinne.
Yeah, I'm going to talk everyone through very quickly Instagram's new update, the split feed, the double feed, what that is, why it's important to us in education.
Excellent.
Nice.
So we're going to try and finish all of this up in the next sort of 15 minutes, because what we really want to do is leave the table open for Martin, who's going to be taking us through automation and how to cut your workload down by half. So without further ado, let's just quickly touch base again. A lot of the stuff you will be familiar with. What is happening in the world and how does that impact education? I think the world in particular is, I think, impacting education a lot more than companies as such impacting education or even products. Obviously, the war in Ukraine is having huge repercussions on education. It's impacting in-person education, it's impacting online education. And so that's a really, I guess, is a trend that we all need to be aware of, like where are we vulnerable, but also where can we support? And definitely on my side, how can we support Ukrainians, and particularly those that are fleeing from harm's way? We have, it was interesting, I was at the English UK Managers Conference just on Friday. And so I was listening to what other people were finding. And I'm curious, I don't know, Herbert and Corinne, you're also quite exposed to this market, but certainly in the UK, it's incredibly difficult to find teachers, at least for in-person teaching. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts or had heard anything else through the grapevine.
I think that's probably not exclusively UK based.
Yeah.
I have heard sort of whispers about, like the volume of applications for positions is, a fraction of what it once was.
Yeah.
So I really do think that is much more widespread than just the UK.
Yeah, it's definitely like Brexit and stuff, and many other, many other things were mentioned. But I thought it was interesting because, as I say, it kind of maybe is a trend that's not just the UK. And it did sound like a lot of teachers had just left the profession entirely. They were really hurt over the last 2 years, and a lot of them didn't come back. And I think that could have a repercussion in terms of hiring teachers, no matter where you are.
Also, teachers that were furloughed or lost their jobs that then went online as tutors. There are a number of those people who also are like, wow, this is great. Yeah. I'm just going to keep, working in this space.
Yeah. And then the last trend I thought was just, my wife is a pharmacist, so I'm always very interested in hearing what's happening with COVID. But I think a lot of us are feeling fairly relaxed about it. It's certainly in the UK. I don't know. Martin, whereabouts are you based again?
Barcelona, Spain.
How is it there? I think from my perspective, it seems very chilled out here in the UK about what's happening. I don't know if that's your experience.
In terms of COVID?
Yeah, in terms of COVID.
Yeah. Well, mostly everything is open now. Just the last week they lifted the mask mandate. Pretty much all places except public transport. So yeah, quite chill as well.
Yeah. And I think that has implications, right? It has implications on education in terms of the comfort level people may find in terms of travel and education, and otherwise whether they stay online. I still think, certainly in the online tutoring space, online tutors are really happy about staying online. If they're getting paid exactly the same and they don't have to do the travel, they'll take that every day of the week. I think there are obviously some people that love that in person. I think that's great, but I don't see that trend going away in terms of at least the supply side. But I'll finish my little presentation with that. Just some thoughts there for you. So let me pass on the baton to Herbert, who's going to be taking us through catchy headlines for email.
Very quickly, I just wanted to go through with you some ideas and tips on how to write catchy subject lines for your emails that will increase your opening rate. Why? I hope all of you are doing some form of email marketing. People think email marketing is a bit old school, it doesn't work anymore, but I can definitely tell you that email marketing is back with a vengeance, and you should be always trying to build your database of contacts so that you can write effective newsletters. So why email and why are subject headlines so important? Well, 47% of people open emails based on the subject line. So if you have great content in your email, but your subject line is poor, it's not catchy, it's not intriguing, then people won't open and your amazing information will get lost. So that is one statistic that was very interesting when I did my research. Also, 24% of people open emails based on the preview text. So that first sentence that gets shown of your email. So having a strong, catchy headline paired with compelling preview text can significantly improve the open rates of your emails. 56% of brands reported that using emojis in their subject lines also increased open rates. Be interested to know how many people here utilize some emojis. Definitely don't want to overdo it and get too spammy, but you know, emojis are great to keep things light. And of course, the number of words in a subject line, which is always a matter of debate. And I found some statistics here that said that 6 to 10 words has the highest open rate, which is a good amount of words. You should really be able to cover everything in 6 to 10 words. So I wanted to give you some ideas on how to write catchy headlines. And so first off, here are 6 types of headlines, subject lines for emails. And I'd like you to imagine that these 6 emails are in your inbox. Which email would you click on first? And I'd love for everyone on the webinar to put their answer in the chat box. So A, B, C, D, E, or F. Which one do you find the most intriguing? Which one do you really want to click? So let's just see what people are replying. D, B, F, A. Oh, it's very mixed. A, C. Anyone else? Looks like A is winning so far. D, okay, D's getting a few ones. F. All right, so it looks to me as though A, D, and F are the winners. Right. Well, why is that? And so let me show you, what type of hooks and ideas we're using for these type of headlines. So, oops. So the first one, A, using scarcity. I mean, age-old trick. Using urgency, you've got 1 day to use this discount. Oh, our offer is ending in 12 hours. Scarcity, I think everyone knows it and utilizes it. So always a very powerful tool to use in headlines. Number 2, or headline B, is polarity, or using something controversial, out of the ordinary, unexpected. I deleted Instagram. That sounds pretty a major step to me. So I want to find out why, what's the reason they deleted Instagram. C is benefit, displaying your benefits about your courses, about your school, about your teaching method. Again, this is a pretty standard way of using headlines. 4, or D, is preview. So 6 bad speaking habits and how to break them for good. This is a great example of an open loop where you're introducing a topic, a theme, a method, a concept, and in order for people to close the loop, they have to click and they have to read on. Number E is empathy. Again, talking about your target audience's pains and their problems. This example here, why it's so difficult to improve your English in 2022. What's so different to 2021 and 2022? I want to find out. And of course, the last one, F, is relevancy. So leveraging current events and what's happening in the world, in this case, pop culture, to get people to open your emails. So getting inspiration, a couple of tips. Newspapers are fantastic at writing headlines, and you can also translate that to subject headlines. Tabloids, beauty and fashion magazines, they are the masters of copywriting, especially for headlines. So if you got some laying around in your home, then I would flick through those and get some inspiration. News websites are also really good for this. Have a look at your organic posts on your social media. Have a look at your past newsletters, which have gotten the best engagement, the highest opening rates. That will give you an indication as to which subject lines have performed best, and then you can model off of that. And last but not least is signing up to other schools or other businesses in different industries and niches to get their marketing emails. And I like to create my own swipe file. So I take screenshots and copy and paste headlines and ad copy that really catch my attention. So that was a very short presentation from me today about how to write catchy headlines. I hope that was interesting, and off to you, Corinne.
So recently, Instagram has, as they always do, they like to spring changes on us. This one wasn't so much of a spring. They had been warning us for a long time it was coming. So what they did is they went and updated their feed. Okay, so what did they actually do? So in summary, Instagram now has 2 feed options. So before, when we got on our phones, we went to our feed, it was just 1 feed, and that was driven really strongly by the algorithm. Now, over time, people had told Instagram, oh, what about, prioritizing content from people that we actually, really like, can we do something different? Can we have chronological order, which is how, Instagram started out in the first place. And so Instagram listened to all that feedback, and that's how they came up with this split idea. So you've got your following feed now and your favorites feed. Now, how are they different? So on your following feed, it's content from all the people that you follow based on the algorithm's assumptions of what you want to see, okay? Whereas your favorites feed, that's accounts that you've actually designated a favorite. So on this account, you'll see content from your favorite accounts in chronological order. So the algorithm is not in there sorting out, prioritizing which of those pieces of content you'll like the best, just simply in chronological order, the content from any account that you have favorited will appear in this feed. Oops. Where are we? Okay, so how do we find our 2 feeds? Because I think that's quite important. And some of you would have already found this. But in case you haven't, what you want to do is go to Instagram, open up your Instagram. You want to tap on the word Instagram in the top left-hand corner, which has got that gigantic pink arrow. When you tap on that word Instagram, that opens up that little teeny tiny pick list that you'll see on your screen, and that gives you the options following and favorites. And whichever one of those you tap on, that will take you to the feed that applies to that tab. Okay, so what does this mean for us? So our content's still going to appear in people's following feeds. So regardless of whether or not they've favorited us, our content still will be assessed or read by the algorithm and shown to people that follow us. Our content is going to still be suggested to people. So based on content they already like in the following feed, but our content will not appear in people's favorites feed unless they've actually favorited our account. So Instagram has made the assumption that people are going to spend more time with their favorite accounts. So basically the bottom line of that is that being favorited by somebody is actually a really desirable thing for us. So what are the benefits of being somebody's favorite? So it shows that the audience is really interested in you. So we're not talking about, these are people who are already what I would say warm leads. Maybe it's lukewarm, maybe they're tepid, but they're just that one step further into their relationship with you than people who just simply follow you. Also, what's really important to note is that once somebody has favorited you, you still appear on their following feed. But what Instagram is going to do is they're going to pop you right at the top. So your content is going to be prioritized over content from people they just generally follow. So you're winning in two ways. You get this nice exclusive favorites feed, but you also get prioritized in the following feed. It also allows us to get to know our audience better. We can look at who's favoriting us. We can see who they are. We can then try and build closer relationships to them. And we do that through tailoring content that really meets their needs and their likes. It's also the favorites feed also makes it much easier to create exclusive content. So, close circles, DMs, much easier to sort of really target those people who are, as I said, just that little bit closer to making a purchase decision or to, signing on with us. And it also helps us to be able to, as I just said, prioritize those customers or potential students. So how do we do it? So, it's important that we understand and we know how to favorite accounts so that one, we can also tell people how to do it. If they say, oh, look, I want to add you to my favorites, no idea how, we're going to look at how to do that. So first, visit an account that you're following. So in this case, you'll see there in number one, I was following Linguland. That's an agency based here in Germany. You then go ahead and tap on that following button. That'll open up this sort of pick list that you see in the second picture on your screen. And you've got some choices there. You want the second choice will actually say favorite or add to favorites, one of those two. What you do is you tap on that. Once you've tapped on that, you get a nice little red star symbol to show that it has been marked as a favorite. That also changes the text. So remove from favorites is what that text changes to. And if you ever decide to change your mind, you go back in and that's what you tick. And then on your following feed, you'll see your favorited accounts are always shown with that same red star. Okay, how to get favorited. So obviously, we want to be creating amazing content. Not the first time I say that. We want to create consistent, amazing content, high quality. And if you have content aimed at your current students, so for example, if you use Instagram to disseminate information, for example, make sure that you encourage those your current students to also favorite you. So they'll find that relevant information really easily. Good example of this is a client of mine, school in New York City, had a snow day. The school couldn't open because of snow. So they popped that information on Instagram. Now, students who had favorited their account got that information right in front of their eyes, first thing that they saw when they opened their Instagram. So that's really important if you are using social media or Instagram to give out important information to your current students. Another way to get favorites is just to explain to people why it's important. And lastly, seems silly, but just ask. So at the end, that is as simple as adding a sentence at the end of a post. If you like this content, make sure you favorite us so you can see more. So it's very similar to how we've been doing with, likes, comments, shares. Now we're going to also ask people to favorite us. So, whoops. That was that from me, short and sweet, but a very important update. And with that, I'm going to pass it on.
Thank you.
Back to Alex, yeah.
Yeah, we are in for a treat with our headline event now. We've had Herbert, we've had Corinne, we've had the lead up, and now we're here with Martin, who is going to be talking us through automation. So Martin, while you Yes, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me here. So yeah, a bit of a background. I started my career in startups, mostly in the tech sector. Did a bit of everything from investor relations to business development, and then finally, about 6 months ago, I started this agency called Automation for Lawyers, helping small and medium-sized law firms, mainly in the UK and US, to automate their business processes and essentially cut down on admin tasks such as emailing, invoicing, scheduling meetings, etc. So that they can really focus on what's important, which is serving their clients. Most of the clients are in the legal space, but also have some in other industries as well, such as coaching. Now, how this is going to work is I'll present essentially seven topics or 7 different, let's say, actions that you do in your business, such as scheduling meetings, generating documents, and or let's say general automation. And for each one of those, I'll cover 1 or 2 tools that are, let's say, the standard or the leaders in the industry, so that you can start implementing them. All right. Apart from that, I also decided to include this short interactive exercise so that you can actually see the benefit that you can get from such tools. So the first step is getting something to write on. It's going to be paper or a notepad on the PC. And then for each one of the activities, as we go through them, please write down the number of times you actually perform this action each week. For example, how many meetings you schedule each week, if you are not using the tool that I'm talking about or a similar one yet. All right. Then we'll multiply that by the time saving for each action, which will be displayed on the top right corner for each one of these tools. And then at the end, you write it down for each one. And then at the end, we'll sum them up and calculate, let's say, a monetary value associated with it and share it in results in the chat. So let's get going. And the first one, and really a very quick win if you are not doing that yet, is using Calendly to schedule calls and meetings. We have all been there, and endless threads of when are you available? Does this time work for you? Okay, what about this time? Oh no, I can't. Right? It's a hassle. It's a pain. Right? And there are several companies in the industry who have products similar to Calendly, such as Acuity, for example. But really, Calendly at the moment is the gold standard and the one that is the most easiest to use, in my opinion. And so let's just do a quick demo. That's the home screen of Calendly. Here I can create event types, and this can either be individual one-on-one events. This can be group events with multiple attendees, such as, for example, this webinar. Or if you are managing a team, this can actually be round-robin events, which means that every time somebody picks a time, they'll be assigned on a round-robin basis to one of the group members. All right. So it's extremely useful. For example, if you're running sales, or maybe you're distributing let's say in the same number of meetings for your students. Now, in each one of the events, you can define things such as obviously the name, the description, the link, and also the location. And this can connect directly to your, for example, Zoom or Google Meet, so that you don't have to set up each one of those meetings manually. And it's just very easy to do straight there in the calendar invitation, and you don't have to lift a finger. Now we can also define for how long in the future people can schedule these events, what would be the duration, and then also on what schedule will you be available. And this can be, let's say, the general schedule that you have for your account, which can be modified and also connected to your calendar, which means, and you can connect up to 6 calendars on the premium version, which means that you can connect to your personal calendar, to your work calendar, number 2, number 3, number 4, right? So that means that you'll definitely be available at that time. After that, you can collect, the basic stuff such as name, email, and also add any other questions that you would like to get collected. And this will also be passed into, if you have some integration software, which I'll talk about later, these also values can be passed in there. All right, we then have workflows, which is a new feature. So by default, Calendly does send invitations, email invitations, and calendar invitations to your guests. Apart from that, you can also add SMS notifications and also define specific workflows, which is, for example, when an event is booked, you have a certain number of actions. and then at specific other timelines, you have other actions associated with it. All right. Finally, a confirmation page, and you can also collect payments. And really the easiest thing here is to connect to your PayPal or to your Stripe account, which is as well I'll talk a bit later on. So yeah, extremely easy platform to use, has several useful integrations with big CRMs, email providers, and also automation platforms. Alrighty, and then for this one, I want you to get an estimate of the number of scheduled meetings that you have every week and multiply that by 5 minutes. All right, and write that down. Okay, so the next tool is collecting data, and this can be anything from intake forms to maybe lead generation forms, you name it. And really here again, the leader is JotForm. Another one is Typeform. You maybe have seen one of those, which is just one question per page, and then kind of like smoothly moves to the next one. JotForm is a bit more flexible in that regard and has more integrations, let's say, than Typeform. And really, the software is extremely easy to use. It has drag and drop interface. Let's just jump into one of the forms. So yeah, just drag and drop interface. A lot of elements that you can choose from can be just simply, the name of the person, the email address, phone with validation, obviously, of each one of those fields, date pickers, text, numbers, star ratings, captures, signatures, and yeah, essentially, you'll find here everything that you want to collect in any type of form. All right, and after that, you do have very extensive as well customization in terms of automation to have linked with that, such as sending out notification emails to both yourself and the person who filled out the form, having some conditional logic of, for example, showing or hiding fields based on specific answers, customizing the thank you page, and as well connecting to a lot of the different tools that you already may be using. Another cool feature is actually approval flows. So we can assign another person who will actually need to approve the form before it is actually marked as complete or submitted. All righty. And about the pricing, I actually forgot for Calendly. I skipped it over. But the basic version is free. And after that, the plans start at $10 or $15 per month. With the professional, you get the most, let's say, flexibility, and you can connect up to, as I said, 6 calendar connections. So yeah, it's quite valuable. JotForm, again, start out as free. You get 5 forms and 100 monthly submissions. You can try it out. There you'll have the JotForm branding, which can be removed if you upgrade to some of their higher plans, starting at $29 per month. All right, and here, again, the value, just the estimated value is 5 minutes per each, let's say, data collection that you do from a customer or maybe a provider. So just multiply the number of times you do it per week by 5 and write that down. All righty. The next one is collecting payments. If in 2022 you're still doing bank transfers for small payments, that is unacceptable, right? And really, Stripe is the biggest platform that is enabling you to collect payments online. And it's extremely easy to use with a lot of customization as well. So here you have projects such as, creating payment links for maybe, a class that you have or a subscription that you may create. You can also do invoicing here directly instead of, using maybe some financing software. You can, again, manage your bills. You can also collect tax automatically. So if, for example, you're selling some info product, tax can be quite daunting, especially, let's say, you have to sell it in EU, right? And then you have to manage tax for each one of the countries. Stripe can do that for you automatically based on the residence of the person. And then it will actually alert you if you reach the threshold for which, you have to report that to the authorities. So really flexible product and a lot of cool features. You can also do some stuff such as identity verification, but obviously those are fraud and risk management, but those are more niche. The pricing for this in the US is 2.9% for each transaction. In Europe, it's lower. I believe it's 1.5% for European cards, and yeah, essentially don't have any fixed fees associated with it. So really easy to implement, and I think absolutely worth it instead of having to manage transfers manually. Now, if you do want to give your customers an option to pay by bank transfer, Stripe has some of those options, but a much better solution would be actually go cardless, which gives the ability for your client to pay through their bank directly. So they will log in the browser into their banking application securely, and then authorize the transaction from there, and you'll essentially have a very similar experience on the back end as you would do with Stripe. So another great option over there. And for this one, again, if you're doing bank transfers manually, collecting them manually, log in them manually, 10 minutes times each transaction in a week. All righty. Then the next one is quite general. So essentially storing any of data, or you could also say project management. And really here, the killer is Airtable. I like to call it Excel on steroids. All right. What's actually it is an online database, which again is very easy to use, very easy to customize. You have a very similar to view, let's say to a spreadsheet, but all the data that you have in the view is actually structured, right? So for example, if for a specific column you say that it should be a number, it will always have to be a number instead of in Google Sheets you can just drag stuff around, and it can be quite mixed up, if you have a lot of rows of data. So yeah, a very intuitive interface and very easy to set up. Also, a cool thing here is that you can customize a lot of the views that you are able to visualize your data essentially, right? For example, let's imagine that you store your payments here, right? And you have for each payment you have a specific, in one column you associated with a specific customer, in another table, right? And for example, you can create a view where you would just be able to see a specific customer details, transactions, spread it around so you can, it's easier to visualize. Yeah, so just what I was talking about in views. You can also have things such as, timeline views, Gantt charts, etc. Or, Kanban boards, which are also quite popular. Now, the cool thing again about Airtable, it does have a pretty nice automation capability inside of it. So for example, let's say if you have a record and it starts to changes to approved, you can automatically send an email to the customer. You can create a record update the record in another table or even another database, or you can, for example, send a specific automation to another platform. As well, a lot of inbuilt ways to visualize your data. So again, this can be just like normal charts, maps, etc. And this can be augmented with what they call apps, which can be added onto your database and give you more flexibility in terms of what you want to do. And a very new feature is actually the interface designer. With this, you can take the data that you have in your database and visualize it, let's say, on a per record view in a much more visual and user-friendly format. So with that, for example, you can create simple forms to input data, or just to visualize data for your team, let's say. Or let's say you have a database or a table of assignments for your students. Your students can log in here, find their name, and then go through each one of those assignments in a more visual format. The pricing for this is free at the beginning, and then the paid plans start at $10 per month. All right. Another cool tool for project management is Asana, but I won't go into much detail on it here. So here, 2 minutes, let's say, for any manual changes that you do to your Google Sheets, or trying to find some records that have got lost somewhere in some sheet that you forgot about. 2 minutes for that per week per the task, and write it down as well. Alrighty, the next one would be actually to manage your leads. and manage your sales process. And here we have a full range of CRMs. Obviously, this is a huge industry, but for small and medium-sized businesses, really the leader at the moment is Pipedrive. We also have solutions such as Zoho CRM, also a pretty good one and very affordable, and HubSpot, which again is one of the leaders, but can get quite expensive, especially if you're a small business. Now, I won't go into too much detail here, as I suppose everyone has heard about what the CRM can do. But essentially here, you can organize all of your leads, you can organize all of your deals, again, have a Kanban view of as they move through the pipeline, and essentially be a central place where you store your customer and potential customers' information. The pricing for Pipedrive, which again, as I said, is probably the easiest solution to start with if you don't yet have ECRM, is 19 euros per month, and it can go up to obviously about 60. And for here, again, I would say every time that you manage leads, let's say in a Google Sheets, right? If you're doing that at the moment, every week, multiply that by 2 minutes and write it down. Okay, and then another topic would be writing and signing documents. So generating documents, let's say from mail merge, and then sending them for signature. And here the leader is Pandadoc. Another great solution is Zoho Sign. There are some also other companies such as DocuSign, but those tend to be more expensive. So what can you do with Pandadoc? Well, you essentially can define a template, which can be imported from a Word document that you already have or built directly in the software. And you can place blocks here, let's say of text, videos, tables, etc. And then also add user input, such as signatures, dates, again, text fields, checkboxes, or even collecting payments. Again, very easy drag and drop interface, and you don't have to go, that means you don't have to go find the Word documents on your drive, copy it, change the name, make sure that you have actually filled out all the fields that need to be filled out, and you haven't forgotten about any placeholder. Very easy software to use, can as well be automated, and then you can send those documents either directly by email or actually send for signature to your clients. All righty. And then for each document, let's say that you generate and send for signature, 15 minutes times the number of documents per week. And yeah, so the pricing for this starts as free, and you can actually get unlimited, legally binding e-signatures with this from the documents that you upload. Now, if you want to use the templates and actually have some more of those advanced features, it starts at 19 USD per month. Now, a cool tip, a pro tip that I have found quite recently for my business is actually Zoho One. And Zoho is a company that has a multitude, I think about like 40 different business applications that fill a lot of these, things that I have talked about, such as scheduling meetings or the CRM, or for example, doing e-signatures. Now, the cool thing is that you can purchase the Zoho One bundle, which is about 45 euros per month in case that you actually deploy it to all of your employees. And with that, you get unlimited access to the enterprise editions of each one of those applications. So again, if you're just starting out, it is a great value. You'll still have to rely on some other applications, such as, for example, for scheduling. Actually, their solution is quite subpar, so I would recommend going with Calendly there. But apart from that, most of the applications that you would need for a business can come from here. Again, things such as bookkeeping or project management as well. Now, and finally, and here is a question mark, because essentially you can do anything with it, is how do you automate everything? How do you connect all of the different apps that you're already using together and add some, let's say, logic to it? And here's where automation platforms come in. Probably the one you have heard about, and the most popular one is Zapier. And another great competitor of theirs is actually Make, or previously known as Integromat. Now, in this case, I'll be showing Make. That's the tool I prefer to work with. It's about 10 times cheaper actually than Zapier. Some people say that it is a bit harder to use to understand, but I think it's actually worth the effort because you do get so many more features, and also it's much more affordable. And what essentially is Make or Zapier is, let's say, the glue of the internet, right? You can connect pretty much any application that you're using, and if you can't, you can do some custom integration even, and yeah, bring in some automation. So for this short demo, it will be very basic, but what I've done is I created a simple form in JotForm with just a name and also a product. And also a very simple Google Sheet with two tabs, product A and product B. All right, and we'll build an automation that whenever someone submits a form here, depending on if they chose product A or product B, it will go to the correct tab in here with their name. All right, so again, very simple, but we'll show how to connect an application, and then also how do you set up some conditional logic. So the first step really in building an automation is the trigger, right? And this can be something such as native, such as a form being submitted from JotForm, or it can be also a custom automation with a webhook, if you know what I'm talking about. So here again, a lot of applications, we can just search for JotForm, and here we'll select, we'll be able to select some triggers, right? And also some actions if we want to perform them on a scheduled basis, right? For example, every 15 minutes, we want to add the records to our Google Sheet. So here we'll be selecting watch for submissions, and in this case, it will be instant, which means instant. Some of them will require that you, let's say, query them every 5, 10, 15 minutes on the schedule that you actually choose. And for this, we'll add a webhook. I already connected my JotForm account, which is a pretty simple process. And here I will select the form, right? And the form will be demo. Let it load, and let's press OK. All right. So now it should already be set up. Always don't forget to save your progress. And to test out that it's actually working, we'll run it once. So here it would actually be turned on permanently. If you press this button, we can only run it once and see one submission. Okay, so let's go to our form. Let's write something up. Select the product, press submit. Okay, fantastic. And as you can see, the action was, or the trigger was executed successfully, and we have the data over here in this bubble. And here we'll have some, let's say, all the data that we get from the software, such as the form ID, submission ID, and some other names. In the request, let's say, collection, we'll actually be able to see the question for the name and the question for the product. All right. And we'll be using, the second value to actually decide in which tab we're going to place in. I'm going to be placing the entry. All right. And to do that, we'll actually need to add what is called a router in the plot in the platform. It is found under flow control. Let's select router, and essentially it will split our flow into two, right? And if we don't define any filters on this path, essentially what will happen is it will first execute all the actions that are on the upper path, and then execute all the actions which are on the lower path. However, if we add a filter, we actually are able to, let's say, split the flow and add some conditional logic to it. So we'll set up a filter for this one to be product A. This is just a label. And the condition will be that the Q5, the question 5 product, all right, is equal to product A. Now, if that happens, we want to add a new entry to Google Sheets. Add a row. Already, again, I already have the account connected, and we'll select the spreadsheet. And in here, we'll actually select the correct sheet, which will be product A. Here we can define if the table contains headers or not, and it will already, let's say, name the column for us. And here, the only thing that we need to left is essentially add in the first name and the last name of the person. No more things to add here. Let's press OK, and let's actually try it out. Again, run once. Let's go back to our form. Okay, Martin K, product A, submit. Great, as you can see, both actions were executed successfully. We can see that one of the bundles has passed through the filter, and we can actually add a new row to Google Sheets. Let's go back, and as you can see here, we have the name. Fantastic. Now let's add our second branch. And the cool thing that you can do in in Make, which you cannot do in Zapier, is actually to copy a module and just change some of its settings, which is an extreme time saver, especially if you do a lot of these. And so we just go into here and we change the sheet to product B. Okay. Fantastic. Press OK. And now what we're going to do here, we're going to set another filter, which will say product B. Another way of doing this is actually setting it as the fallback route. Okay, so in case that there are no other routes, which can there can be actually multiple, not just two, it will go into here. But in this case, let's just again do the same as we did before. So question 5 product equals to product B. Okay, fantastic. Let's save it. And let's actually turn it on, okay? So now if we go back, we'll be able to see some of the statistics, and we'll also be able to see the history of the execution, all right? So let's do another submission over here, and actually this time, make sure that it goes into product B tab, which for now doesn't have anything. Okay, product B, submit, all right. And as we can see, success to operations. If we go into details, we can see again how our data has been passed around. It has gone to the second filter and successfully added a new row in the second tab, as you can see right there. So very simple example, but does illustrate the basics of how you use this type of software. Again, Make starts out at 1,000 tasks. Essentially, task is any time that you execute trigger or you execute an action, all right? And after that, you can the plans start at $10 per month, I believe, and with that you get faster, let's say, response time for scheduled actions, and also 10,000 operations. All righty. Okay, so here again, like obviously the limit to this is your imagination, but you can put an X number of minutes that you believe you can save with this type of software in your business. All righty, well, it's time to do the calculation. Sum up all the time that you saved during the week. Multiply this number by your, let's say, hourly rate that you're offering your clients, and then multiply it by 4 to get the monthly essentially savings or gains that you can have in financial terms from automation. And I invite you to share that result in the chat. $1,000. I mean, not that bad.
Well, Alex. Already have some time savers there.
I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't. When you think about it on a weekly basis, you're like, and then you times it by 4,
much, right?
And then you're like, that's.
And then you times it by 12, right?
Yeah. I think you really forget as well. What I really liked about what you were talking about was just how you've got these multiplier effects. And actually some of the stuff I'm already doing, so I'm not aware that I've already made that jump up. Like the meetings thing, that saves me like, I just don't know that that's a pain anymore. But as soon as you have to arrange a time with somebody, you're just like, how could you not use a tool for that?
Exactly. Like once you go there, you cannot go back.
You can't go back from Wonderland, right? And then I think I would be very surprised if we're not seeing some big numbers as well, particularly if you run an organization. I mean, LearnCube, of course, we provide a platform that does a lot, but it doesn't do everything. And there'll be lots of things that you're doing on an organizational level, and you multiply it by your team. I mean, these numbers are going to get pretty big.
Exactly.
One thing I was really interested in, Martin, and I think you really showed, I love the fact that you actually took us through an example on that automation, because again, I think you started to see how they multiplied and how they did really automate your business. But I was really kind of curious on particularly that linking with forms to actions. And I know that there's lots of like great marketing software, and you do a form and you kind of send it off. But when you showed me Airtable mixed with a form, mixed with Make or Zapier, you probably can achieve the same thing, because sometimes, at least in my business, I've noticed that you do use a lot of Excel spreadsheets a lot of the time. And so being able to connect, because an Excel spreadsheet, often you've got stuff in there that maybe kind of, you don't want to put in a CRM, it starts becoming awkward. But I thought that was really clever. And so I definitely want to kind of look at that myself. And I'm sure a lot of language school owners and tutoring businesses would really benefit from putting a couple of these services together.
No, definitely. And like, Airtable, you can definitely connect it as well to something such as Make or Zapier. You connect it to form software, or Airtable even does have, let's say, a form capability within itself. So you definitely have a lot of options that you can choose from.
I was curious, since you probably use Airtable as well, are you on a professional or paid version yet?
I used Airtable. Now I'm just using Zoho to essentially manage all the CRM and bookkeeping aspect of the business.
The reason I was curious as well, and it might be relevant for others, I think for me, I'm like, but I use Google Sheets and it's free. But like it might take you a long time before you even get into a paid kind of level with Airtable.
No, exactly. Yeah, I believe you have like 1,000 records, if I'm not mistaken.
Quite a lot. Like it's enough to get you hooked, I guess. But
no, definitely.
I could see some real interesting automations there that maybe wouldn't be quite as available with Google Sheets. Fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of with Airtable, within Airtable as well. You can actually write custom code within it as well, and to do some more advanced, let's say, automations from directly from the software as well. And also develop custom apps, right? Which I showed, right? Custom apps. You can also develop some custom ones for your business. Obviously, that will require some coding knowledge, but definitely. Okay, I don't think we have many more answers.
We've got one question before you go, Martin. It was just on.
I'm not leaving.
You're not leaving. You're not leaving. We were scared. Well, let's hear. How can people contact you then? Yeah,
exactly. So you can connect with me by LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to do. I also have a small YouTube channel, Automation for Lawyers. I still don't have the unique URL. Not that many subscribers yet. I also have my website, automationforlawyers.com, if you're interested, and also my email. And now, I'm happy to answer any of the questions. I have seen there's one in the chat about Calendly. I have a question. Calendly does not send the Zoom links to WhatsApp. How to do it? Okay, so WhatsApp is, let's say, in general, wouldn't be, let's say, the easiest to integrate. But there are some services which I don't remember the names of out of the top of my head that can send messages to WhatsApp, especially like if it's WhatsApp business. I believe the restriction there is that somebody has to message you first, but I'm not completely sure about that. Anyhow, I know that those services exist. You can search it up online, and you can definitely connect them to Make. So, for example, when somebody makes a reservation in Calendly, that information is passed to Make, and then you take the Zoom link, and you just pass it directly to one of those services on the back end.
Great. And I think we have one more question about what is the advantage of using Jotform over a normal Excel sheet?
A Google form possibly might be.
Yeah, maybe.
Like a free Google form? Why would you use JotForm
Google form?
compared to
Yeah,
like
I mean, no, you can use a free Google form. That's also a possibility. With JotForm, you just get a lot of more customization options in terms of, let's say, things such as, collecting payments or maybe collecting signatures. And also in terms of how your form looks. You can customize it with custom colors, your name brand, etc. So yeah, I mean, you can use both tools. JotForm just gives you a bit more flexibility.
Fantastic.
I've heard Google Calendar has added functionalities that compares to Calendly. Know anything about it? Haven't actually heard about it. That's interesting. Probably not as advanced as Calendly, because really it is the gold standard. You can do many things with Calendly, but yeah, maybe potential solution as well.
Yes. Some people also kind of use Excel spreadsheets, for example, for recording classes and that kind of thing. I guess you could do automations from when a certain field in a Google Sheet gets to a certain level, you can automatically send maybe an email.
So like if you have a drop down, let's say, of status, let's say, right, and then you say, okay, pending, and then it's completed. You can definitely track that with something such as Make.
What's the best? What email service would you typically use as the email? Let's say you've got a trigger, it's going to send an email. Do you have to have like a marketing email?
No, you can send it directly from your Gmail, let's say.
Okay, so you can even connect with Gmail as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can connect to your personal inbox and let's send it from there.
Amazing.
Or you can potentially connect to some, let's say transaction, mail-in software. Yeah. But
yeah, I think it's a bit of mind blown of what you could do. And I know that a lot of people might be feeling like, I know that even I was like, when you were doing it, I was still like, it still feels a little bit technical, but I'm sure like you do get just a bit more comfortable with it once you start playing around with it and making some mistakes.
And again, the cool thing is like a lot of these products have free versions, so you can just, try it out, see how you liked it, and
excellent
from there.
Fantastic. Well, Martin, I'll let you, if you can close your screen share, I'll finish up for us. But again, please get in touch with Martin if you know somebody as well in the legal profession that might be a prime candidate for Martin. But otherwise, Martin's really provided a lot of tips here. So thank you.
If you have any automation questions which are not related to legal space, I'm also happy to answer those. Just reach out to me by LinkedIn or email.
You're phenomenal. Thank you so much for that generosity. We'll catch up with you on herbertgerzer.com.
Correct.
And from Corinne, you can find her at her information right here on the screen. But again, you're a lover of Instagram, aren't you?
Yeah, it's the fastest way to reach me.
I love it. And if you are interested in LearnCube, you can find us at learncube.com. And also, I've got an email there that you can touch us on. Likewise, if you're interested in more about Get More Students and how to do that in the tutoring and language space, you can also join our community, which is at getmorestudents.org. So thank you so much for all listening in. I've really enjoyed it. Herbert starting off with a great spin about email headlines. I think I definitely learned a trick or two from you. Corinne, thanks very much for the heads up about the new changes in favorites with Instagram. I think it's going to be very much about trying to get on the favorite list.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone wants to be a favorite.
Yeah, but it definitely seems like it could have a major impact on, if you're not extraordinary, it's going to be harder and harder. And I imagine it's a noise factor, right?
Yeah, and I also think it's going to have some positive benefits that people are just going to start creating better content because they have to.
Yeah.
To stay relevant, they're going to need to be, favorited, and they're going to need to have that content that really, inspires people to take that step.
That's it. And what I definitely learned from you, Martin, was not just that we've got great tools. Again, LearnCube is one of those tools that can help you with your business, but it's actually not just about what one single tool can do. But the trend that you really showed was how, when these tools fit together, they really make a big difference. They can quite honestly transform a business from needing 10 staff to not needing 10 staff, which means you can build, you can scale up, you can do a lot more with your business with a lot fewer people, which is quite an exciting idea when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And thanks all for listening in, and we will see you here again next month at Get More Students. Thanks again. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.